everybody, welcome to Pale in Comparison, a proud member of the Doof Network. In this podcast, my sister uses her knowledge of the Otherverse to take a look at Pact. Wild Bows, we'll find out, work. And I try to not give away any spoilers. I'm Jenny, and Malia convinced me to read Worm.
I'm Malia, and Jenny convinced me to read everything else. This episode, we are covering Subordination, chapters 6.1 and 6.2. Before we get into that, however, I'd like to... Okay, one more time. Before we get into that, however, I'd like to issue a spoiler warning. This podcast is filled with pale spoilers. If you don't know which major ritual Verona does first and don't want us to tell you, stop now, read Pale, and come back to this podcast. As for Pact, there will be full spoilers through the chapters we are covering.
All right. I know this is technically our discussion question, but we're going to talk about it now because we just, as all of you know, if you listened to the last episode, we decided to put a vote up to see what I'm going to be saying for the rest of the podcast, potentially.
Woo!
Woohoo! Because Wild Bow's least appreciated work doesn't quite seem to fit anymore. So we do have a winner. I don't know if we can hear a drum roll. Probably a very anticlimactic sounding drum roll. The only Wild Bow web serial shorter than the Bible is the winner. Woo! We did have another suggestion as well. Hopefully this won't be too controversial. But a lot of people, because we didn't put this on the actual poll, and I'm kind of thinking that this is why this didn't get quite as many votes, because it still got a lot of votes. But someone suggested, I'm blanking on who suggested it, and I didn't bother writing it down.
Let me go find it.
Well, he's going to find it, so we can give credit to the lovely person who did. But someone suggested randomly switching these up, like changing it every now and then.
Kay
so
said.
Who was it?
Kay said.
Yay! That was a good suggestion. Thanks, Kay.
Yes, thank you.
So we're probably going to do that. However, because the only Wild Bow web serial shorter than the Bible, I'm going to at least say that for the rest of this arc. And then we might switch it up every now and then. Just get ready for me to trip over my words a lot, because that one's kind of hard to say fast. But I'm going to get there.
There was also a discussion about how accurate that was and if it was accurate. And it is controversial, but we resolved that the Vatican website, which has a bigger number of words than Pact,
there you go.
Good enough.
That's good enough. We're going.
So we acknowledge that this is controversial.
It's controversial, but we're going by the Catholic Bible and
the
as
Catholic
two Catholics,
website,
the Vatican website. That's I feel like that's pretty legit. So that's what we're going with. If you don't like it, that sucks. But at least you only have to deal with hearing that for an arc before we possibly switch it up. So. At least if we remember, which we'll try to. So anyway, as everyone knows, we are on a new arc. Yay! We are on arc 6, which is Subordination.
That's all.
What does subordination mean?
So according to the dictionary, subordination is placement in a lower class, rank, or position. The act or process of subordinating someone or something, or the state of being subordinated, which is lovely.
Yes.
I like that subordination is active. It's you're being placed in a lower class, because it's not that you are; it's that you're being put there. And this could either be a good thing or a bad thing, because this is what conquest does to people, right? So that's bad.
Yeah,
that suggests lots of bad things. But I have this a little bit later in the notes, that, Poos is there being Poozy, and demons subvert the natural order, and the opposite of conquest is subordination. So maybe conquest will become subordination, which would be great. Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like great's kind of a strong word, but,
which would be a thing. So there's one ridiculous prediction, is that the imp or Poos will subordinate conquest. Don't know how much I believe.
You're dropping bold and specific predictions already. This is early.
Yeah. Well, because I got another one.
Are you going to drop that now too, or are you waiting until...
Well, first I'll have to talk about why I thought about this.
Okay.
So I was disappointed because subordination doesn't obviously have a legal meaning, but I looked it up on legal dictionaries and on Westlaw, and immediately they were all like subordination agreements, and I was like, what the fuck? So I think this is a secured credit thing, which I have to learn to take the bar or something. But basically, it's like, you know, if you owe people money, right? And that some people, if you declare bankruptcy and you're like, lol, I can't pay you, like they're shit out of luck, right? Because that's unsecured credit. But secured credit is like, these people are going to get something, and there's a ranking system of like who's going to get what when. So if you're at the top of that list, like you're going to get your money first, and then they go down the list. So a subordination agreement is where you have creditor A who has a high priority of your debt, right? And then you have creditor B, and so there's a new agreement, right? The debtor makes a new agreement with creditor B, and creditor A agrees and is like, okay, I'll like lower my debt in the priority rank so that this new debt can be a higher priority, which is called a subordination agreement. And sounds very boring.
Yes.
But pact is a lot about the law and a lot about deals and a lot about, you know, shit. And so I think that some sort of debt that Blake owes will be subordinated to a new debt. And I'm really worried that means that Blake owes Conquest shit based on whatever. And I think that maybe Blake will subordinate that debt by like asking the lawyers for help. I'm not really sure how we get there based on like him awakening all of his friends. But I feel like there will be some sort of thing where, I mean, that stories are just like building conflict. So it's not that big of a prediction to say like something else will become a bigger priority. But I do think that is happening in this arc, that something else will become a bigger priority than something that seems like a big deal right now.
Okay. All right. I like it. We get 2 predictions right off the bat before we even jump in. So
ridiculous predictions.
2 ridiculous predictions. All right. You better write those down, Malia.
Okay.
All right. Chapter summary. Bam. Blake is picked up by the Knights and plans against Conquest. Rose gets snatched by Conquest. And then Blake goes back to his apartment and awakens his friends. What did you think about these chapters, Malia?
So I just had a thought that I did.
Is this
I didn't
another
think about this
prediction?
No.
You gotta save some for the end.
No, but I just was like, oh, fuck. Because at the end of Fell's interlude, I was like, Fell's heading over to find Blake. And I didn't think about that until right now. I'm like, Fell is on his way to find Blake. That's interesting. That is
interesting.
Where is he? Huh. Okay. Anyway, these chapters were a lot. Like emotionally, I did not anticipate or expect this at all. I was not prepared. I did not think that things were going to go this way. I texted Jenny after I finished 6.1 where he was like, I'm going to tell my friends about magic. And I was like, do I keep reading to 6.2? Like, I don't know if I can emotionally handle it. Like, I was just so completely thrown off guard. And she was like, yep, keep going. I was like, okay.
Okay, you didn't mention the emotional strife you were going through, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, like, on the one hand, I wanted to keep going. And on the other hand, I was like, I don't know if I can. Like, I don't know. I'm not ready for this. I was not ready for this.
I don't know if you've picked this up by now, but the story has a lot of emotional strife.
No one was ready for this. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right. Well, just use this as, I mean, you know what? I'm just not going to say anything else. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
You're right. There's emotional strife, and who knows if you're going to have to deal with any more emotional strife in this book. That is just a mystery. Who knows?
I think though it's just like, I did not expect this at all. And if you had straight up asked me like, will he ever do that? I'd be like, no. I'd be like, no, he won't ever. Literally no. Like... And so I just think that like part of it is, if I was just reading the story, I would have been like, oh, wow, what? But like me having to come onto this podcast and be like, hey, y'all, I know it's sort of my job to figure out what's happening. And I did not at all expect this. It's a little embarrassing.
Is it though? Because I feel like I don't think that this was really premeditated. So
yeah, no, it was not. I
feel like
reading that closely, I was like, is this man?
Yeah, I think that you can. I don't think you should feel embarrassed about Blake pulling a Blake move. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Let's dive in. So Blake is rescued and picked up by the knights, and they all discuss planning in the car.
Yeah. It was nice. For some reason, I thought this was going to pick back up when we saw Fell. But I mean, it makes sense that it's good that we pick back up a little bit before, so we know what Rose knows. Rose knows. And stuff. And yeah, the knights are there, and I really like them. I really like Pris and Nick a lot. They seem like really good people. And it's interesting, like, they feel really, it seems to me like they're very torn between the fact that they're like not a very strong group, in large part probably because of the splinter, and the fact that they're like really wanting to help. And I was trying to think of the things that were different from the way Rose expressed the plan. And she made it sound like the knights were like totally on board and gonna like storm the castle or whatever. And that's obviously not what's happening. Like, it keeps being made clear that like the knights might give you a ride again. And like, that's about it. Like, maybe they'll lend you some books or whatever, but they're not. I mean, like, the fact that Pris is like, oh, well, maybe I could talk to some other people is something. But I feel like Rose made it sound like, oh yeah, like the knights are fucking coming for you. And like, that's not what's happening. So I'm not certain. I don't feel a lot of hope about Rose not totally buckling, but on the other hand, maybe there's a little bit of hope still. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I've slowly been listening to Deep Impact. I try to keep it back. Like, I try to stay significantly behind myself. But it's nice to get like a redo of old chapters, and it's nice to hear what Elliot in particular like thinks about the story. And I just feel like he has picked up on so much more than I have, which is nice and frustrating. But I feel like they pick up on themes a little bit better. And the whole thing with like conquest and that whole his powers, I don't know, it like makes sense, and it's not as big of a deal if Rose is owned by this man entity thing, because he's just such a thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like that is a really good idea for you to listen to Deep Impact.
Yeah, I don't want like Elliot's ideas to just like I don't want to steal from their stuff. Yeah. But it's nice, and it's like honestly helping me understand the story better, which is interesting. There's something that I put in the notes somewhere where I'm probably gonna talk about that again. But I'll find it when I get to it.
All right.
Yeah, this chapter was another like, this was a big like realization-y chapter for me, I guess. I'm wondering if that will just happen at the beginnings of arcs a lot, but like where Blake got the goblins, like or no, this actually, I think this was from listening to Deep Impact when they went over the end of arc 4, or the end of
something.
No, I'm not at the end of arc 4. What was I listening to? Maybe I was listening to us talk about it. I don't know. Because at one point Blake is fighting the hyena, and he goes back, and he's like, "Lol, I'm gonna go do some shit." But then it seems like he doesn't go do some shit, because he's like, "I'm gonna go find some people to torture you." But then it's like, "Oh no, he didn't do that," and that's smart because you gotta fucking go. But I think he did do that, and the hint for that is like the chain that he used to like bind those goblins, and just had them around. And I don't know where he kept them, but it was just an interesting like, hey, he actually did do the dumb thing because Blake's I don't know. Blake's smart. He's just he makes impulsive choices.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of notes in this section. I'm wondering like what is actually relevant to get into. One thing is that Pris mentions that Duncan said that wasn't on the local lord's side. And I mean, he seems really beholden to his family, but also like he's in Toronto, like certainly the Lord of Toronto has an influence on his life. I don't know. Like I mean, maybe that's just like I'm neutral or I'm something. And like, I'm curious as to like what that means, what everyone thinks that means, and what was happening with that, because like, are the Bahamians going to get involved in this? I don't know, this whole showdown thing.
Okay, yeah.
Another thing, I feel like it's just so much of me talking. Do you have a question or a comment?
No, you have a lot of notes, so I'm trying to see where
notes.
you're going to next.
I was going to
It's a
talk
little
about
bit
this.
What was that? That one? Familiars?
What aware can understand.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't realize that aware don't understand Evan, and can't see Rose. I guess, I mean, they're still innocent, but on the other hand, like, she knows magic and shit is real, and like, I feel like some of the aware, I mean, like, so like Louise saw the Carmine Beast and shit, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, maybe that was just a much bigger deal, and she was also very sick, and so she was in that like space of being able to see the stuff or whatever. But it just, I don't know. I mean, maybe she wouldn't understand Evan. It just surprised me. And then later when
Snowdrop, though.
But when Snowdrop's in person form, I think. Not in possum form. It's a lot easier for your brain to say like, yes, that little girl is talking to me, than yes, that possum is talking to me, or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because that, and then she can't see or hear Rose, which is surprising. And I guess shows that they've gotten weaker because that man saw Rose in the subway reflection, because Rose was getting stronger. And then, yeah, Blake is like, it's weird that I just like saw Rose and totally accepted this whole shit. Like, and I'm like, it is weird that you just saw Rose and totally accepted this whole shit. But maybe it's because like Rose is you.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, because like Prim, that's her name, right?
I thought it was Pris.
Pris is Pris. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Pris. Let me see. I mean, she's obviously has to be pretty darn aware to be a blackguard, but I'd say the most hardcore aware we've seen would be Shelley. And
yeah, Shelley, like, Ted.
I'd still say Shelley's a little bit more than Ted in terms of just like straight up magic stuff.
Maybe.
I mean, Ted,
but yeah, they're
Ted's
both pretty
too, but they're pretty damn aware.
Right.
So like I mean, I don't know Pris, but I'm assuming they're both like much more aware than she is, even though she's a blackguard.
Sure.
And
they'd probably be able to hear Evan, or at least Shelley would probably be able to hear Evan. Maybe.
Yeah, I would think. But also maybe depends on the type of aware that she is.
Right.
Well. But yeah, there's got to be some kind of a line there, though, right? Like in between, like awakening and being aware still.
Yeah, I mean the fact that you can awaken without actually doing the ritual is bananas. But like that one lady in Thunder Bay with the goat, who apparently has been awakened or was awakened by Charles without agreeing to it, or like that's bananas. And it's sort of funny.
Charles is just kind of bananas, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, but that's possible. It seems like Shelley, like, I guess it's not just awareness. It's having some connection to a higher power thing. Because through the awakening ritual, it's making promises to, like, the universe and to, like, quote unquote, the others. And I guess with that, it was just like, hello, I am a judge. You can't get away from. I don't know. That actually, I can't. I don't know what to do with that. Yeah, fucking Charles.
Yeah, it's fun to read about him fucking with shit like that, though. You know, I mean, he's a total dickhead, but it is really fun to just. He's like, he just kind of does what he wants.
Yeah,
which when it's like towards people we don't like, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I mean, at least he's an equal opportunity asshole.
Except that he's like, okay, Musser, I will protect you because I suck. Anyway. But yeah, they're just like, Blake and Rose are starting to plan, and they're like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like, allies. What allies do we have? Oh, they're the lawyers, lol. And like, oh, we could go summon a fucking demon. Great, Rose. That's smart.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's like on the one hand cool that she like it's like we're brainstorming, but also we don't have a ton of time, and that's obviously not a great idea. We should move on. Like,
yeah, but it's like, I mean, she's probably like, well, I mean, you know, might as well say it out loud, you know, because it is like they are diabolists, so that is like one of their cards they could play.
Right. It sucks that is one of the only real, like, that is one of the only options they have. It's one of the only sources of like power or anything that they have, and that sucks. Like, I get that you don't want Diabolists to succeed, but like putting them in a box where they can't do anything other than call on demons is bad.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, it was nice that Blake at least shot that down very quickly.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
That was
Rose and her
demons.
demons.
Explain to Pris.
Right, because literally
like, fuck no.
And Pris is like, what? And he's like, oh, the mirror girl wants to summon a demon because she thinks she can control it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you do everything perfectly, it's fine. Because I'm sure, because they're in a position to, like, definitely do everything perfectly. Like, they're totally, like, 100% there mentally and just everything, right?
Like, Grandma Rose didn't even, like, summon and bind a demon or whatever until she was, like, an adult with a child. And she'd been practicing since she was, like, you know, 8 or whatever the fuck. Like, these two nitwits who don't know runes.
Which, I mean,
can't
I guess she did. I guess she needed a child to summon the demon. I hope that's not the only reason she waited, but you know, I don't know.
You know, is it better or worse that Grandma Rose didn't just like borrow someone else's child?
I mean, I guess it's better because at least like you didn't like kidnap someone else's kid. Because at least like if it's your own child, hopefully you have a little bit more incentive to make sure you don't fuck it up. Whereas, I mean, you'd hope that you'd also feel the same way for someone else's child, but if you're already going to steal someone's kid for a demon summoning ritual,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not great.
It's not great. Like, yeah, that's majorly fucked. I mean, they're both pretty fucked, but I mean, if I was a diabolist, though, I sure fucking wouldn't put my kids up for the demon. But I also can't imagine myself like
finding
getting anyone else's kids. I'd probably see if like I could get an animal or something, because that's also, well, yeah, of course it's sad, but like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna probably be more likely to serve up a puppy than a fucking baby, like human baby. I'm not happy about it, but like, it's not like, all right, time to like, you know, put this chinchilla up on a platter, you know, like, but I'm not, I'd be more likely to do that than for a baby, like a human baby.
Yeah.
Because animals are pretty fucking innocent, you know?
Yeah, they are.
I wonder if it wouldn't count as much though, because it's less like, you know, there's less stake there.
Right, maybe. Probably.
Yeah, but like, see, this is exactly why you shouldn't become I mean, there's a lot of reasons actually why you shouldn't become a diabolist, but you know, one is to maybe not sacrifice any human children or any children.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't die.
Yeah, I mean, but they could have. Not to mention, like, even just from a medical standpoint, like sitting your child on top of like a pile of like rotting pig carcasses, which like 1-year-olds don't have the best immune systems in the world anyway, so that's not the best, and they stick everything in their fucking mouths. You know, like that is just like a recipe for disaster on its own.
That's so funny.
Not to mention, like, they move all over the place. So
I was
like,
gonna say, yeah, I imagined it as an unconscious baby for some reason, just like a little sleeping, like swaddled baby. But she did, I think, say 1 or something.
She said 1. Maybe she drugged her 1-year-old to sleep.
Yeah,
because if they're awake, like, they're gonna be fucking moving all over the place. And then like, can you imagine like, I mean, I'm just imagining like a 1-year-old just like tumbling and like somersaulting accidentally like down this huge ass disgusting pile of like dead pigs. And like, because what if they, it's just, I mean, I was gonna say it's a miracle everything went right, but miracle's really not the word to use for that. So
I love it.
Anyway,
yeah,
that was bad. But yeah, so they're talking. They talk, kind of brought up the lawyers as well, which is not a good option either.
But I still think that at some point Blake's gonna do it, and we're gonna find out what that whole like go to this farm for 2 days or whatever the fuck is. I mean, maybe not, but it just seems such a like fun, tempting. Like, what the fuck does that mean? You know?
Yeah, it does.
I guess one of the last things I wanted to talk about is Rose saying that he thinks that Conquest wanted her in chains. And I don't remember if I think Fell, etc. spelled that out for us in their interlude about still being able to use Rose even if Blake is dead or whatever. But that was just so heartbreaking because like that was such a kind and wonderful moment where Rose like steps up and takes the shackle. Like knowing that Blake, you know, couldn't deal with that. And then Blake knowing that if he had like been able to deal with that, it could have been better. And it's just, I mean, like there still probably would have been a tie to Rose or whatever, but it's just that was such a heartbreaking
I know
realization. But
it is interesting. But like, I mean, do you think like, what do you think would have happened if it was the opposite? Like, and he did get Blake in chains after all.
I mean, Conquest was able to pull Rose into the real world, quote unquote, because of her connection to Blake.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, you know, that it would have made much of a difference. Just that there'd be like physical Blake running around doing dumb shit as opposed to just like non-physical Rose who can go get the books.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to point at this one note that you wrote that was the whole needing sacrifice of thing sounds interesting.
And then my next note was Blake isn't going to become Conquest, right? Because they're talking about how if the incarnation doesn't have a sacrifice type thing, like doesn't get a new body, then it becomes like more and more rigid and more bound to certain rules. And we're not sure how long it's been for Conquest or how many sacrifices he needs or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking of like, how is this going to end and how are we going to get out of this and Subordination. And I was like, oh fuck, what if Blake becomes a sacrifice? And then I'm like, well, but then the story would end because I don't think Blake has the power to overpower Conquest. I mean, okay. If Poos is there and Poos subverts the natural order of things, then maybe Blake will fuse with Conquest, but Conquest will be Subordination. And so Blake will take over, but then Blake will be fucked. No, I feel like the incarnation of Subordination is still a powerful concept. And so being a sacrifice to Subordination probably wouldn't make you that much more likely to be able to overpower it or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting that you think, I mean, I'm not saying one way or the other because I'm not saying what happens, but like, I think it's interesting that you go right to that would end the story. Because we remember like with Worm, I mean, the protagonist, like, you know, Taylor, she had a pretty good chance of dying and she just like end up not dying. And like, if she did die, the protagonist would just switch to someone else.
Right. I mean, but so far,
wouldn't that be a mind fuck if like the protagonist switched to like Laird or somebody? Like, really?
I feel like we've talked about this before and I would hate that so much.
Until Wildbow, like, you know, flexed his writing skills and made you like totally empathize with him and just be like, okay, I totally like this guy now.
No, I swear we've had this exact same fucking conversation because then I'd say like, no, maybe Sandra Bohème or Sandra Duchamp.
We might have, but I don't remember because I don't know.
Baby brain. But yeah,
for real.
This just feels like this is the story of the Thorburns. Like, I could...
What if it's like goes to Paige or goes to
right,
like...
that's the only thing I could see is if Blake dies and it goes to Paige. But that just...
Or goes whoever the next person
there
is.
wouldn't be Rose. No, it's got to skip to Paige. I mean, I guess that means that they all got to die without us noticing. But like... or just that it skips to Paige and Paige is like, what's going on? And then all of her cousins are like freaking out or whatever.
It's like all of his shitty family just like goes to the house to try to like get his money and they all fucking die except for Paige because she's like doing law school shit. And then that's how it switches to her.
I'm still suspicious of what the fuck's up with that girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they had that phone call because I mean, she'll come back soon probably, but I was just like, who are you? Yeah.
All right. Should we go to the next one? I know you have more notes there, but you have a lot of fucking notes.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Although I do want to like, you do have a note that says we could teach you a rune or two, and someone teach Blake some fucking runes. Fuck. Other than just air.
Jumps out window.
Asterisk jumps out window. Yes. Which I just want to point out as a yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I mean it's like he has some basics, but he doesn't have I don't know exactly what Blake has read and what Rose has like conveyed, but it doesn't feel like he has a good basics of like this is how this universe works and like this is how you do things, other than just like draw a rune, blah,
with my blood and just
with
keep
my blood
sucking out my own power. Just keep draining my life force.
I'm
myself.
so worried about his friends. It's fine. It's all good.
It's all right. We're gonna get there. So then when they're talking in the car about all this shit, Rolls get stolen away by Conquest.
Yeah.
Which is like, well, shit.
Yeah, that sucks. And thinking again about what she was saying, it seems like she was telling the truth. I was happy that Blake was more like, oh yeah, this is a dumb plan, and it's kind of like it's okay that plan wasn't a super great plan, but the real problem is the books in the house.
Yeah.
And they seem to be almost operating under the assumption that Conquest is going to figure out that Rose can get to the books and then force her to do it, which would be bad.
Mm-hmm. It's nice that Nick like clued in Blake that like, you know, Conquest knows everything that Rose knows now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that probably
you mean like telepathically or something?
Didn't he say something like, you know, that like now that Conquest like has Rose, you need to assume that like he knows everything that she knows, like whether
right,
just forcing her or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that that's a good way to operate. Yeah, and so it makes his ridiculous plan make, you know, like I don't know that there was a better option, but it still sucks.
No, I mean it sucks. It really does because like he's fucking over all his friends too.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think that there are people whose lives are substantial, like people whose lives are improved by becoming practitioners, even people who aren't complete and total dickbags. Like, I think that for Verona in particular, and probably for Avery as well, like their lives are better. I'm not convinced that Lucy's life is better for being a practitioner.
Sure, but you can't.
And it
tell
seems
me.
like no, this is not a good circumstance to do this at all.
Like, just from like their perspective, like, oh yeah, I got awoken by my friend who is a diabolist who basically like told me that if I still wanted to sign up, he's not explaining shit well enough, and I still wanted to sign up. I mean, yeah, no, it's just, I think
no, this is not ideal circumstances. They have no sources of power or anything, and it's all bad. But
I mean, at the end, he's like, "Hey, Nick, can you give like a crash course in runes or like in magic for my friends? Like a 15-minute crash course." I'm like, "Fucking perfect."
I see a path where this is a good thing for Tyler, and maybe Alexis. She's one of those like edgy people on the fringes who maybe would benefit from this. And like, I don't know. I love Tiffany, and so I'm happy she's still in the story. But I don't know. We're gonna get there, but it's a whole thing.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll get there, as you said. So Blake goes back to his apartment and hobbles in like a zombie, I think, as he says, something like that, and arranges a meeting with his friends. Because people see him and are like, "You look fucked up."
Yeah, when he was like, I'm gonna go build up my strength in more ways than one, I was like, oh, you're gonna rest and maybe eat and then like also see your friends and build up yourself again like you did the last time.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was like, I'm gonna be revitalized by my friend's presence and also make them practitioners.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you're just like, yeah, it's right fucking there, and I just didn't at all.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of reasonable to like not have caught onto that.
I think especially after reading Pale, like, I mean, like with Pact, it's like, oh, this is horrible, and you shouldn't introduce people to this just because Blake's life sucks so much. But there's a lot of people who are like doing fine, like the Bahams and shit, like who don't seem to be like living that bad. But I feel like in Pale, it's so stressed because there's so many people where like, I mean, I go back and forth as to whether I think Clem should be awoken, because on the one hand, I think it would give her a lot better tools to be able to deal with the items she finds, but then she wouldn't have the innocence protection. So it might be worth it for her to not. And like,
Yeah.
she could get eaten and that'd be bad for whoever awoke her or whatever. But there are some people where I'm like, no, I think this is actually like a good thing. And they are like so resistant to doing that. Like, I've been surprised that they were like, okay, Melissa, you obviously aren't letting this go. Like, you can be our blackguard or whatever. And it's great. I like it. Again, it seems good for Melissa due to her circumstances. But I just feel like it's been so pounded into me that not only, because I also was like, oh wait, he's going to make all of his friends aware. What is he doing? But no, he's not making all of his friends aware. He is not doing that. And I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
But yeah, again, before we get there, there are some incredible Evan moments in these chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, where Blake's like, I'm gonna go build up my strength, and Evan just says weightlifting, and he's like, I'm like, that's incredible, and he's like, no, I don't have time, and he's like, magical weightlifting. I'm like, oh my god. You're so fucking great and so cute. And then when he's like, why are you talking to that bike? And he's like, yeah, I'm a motorcycle, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it's your bike? Like, he's like, that's so cool. And I'm like, oh my God. And then later when he's like, yeah, where he like gets like offended and stuff about the apostrophe, we're like, lots of adults don't do that. Like, and it was like, that was really funny. Like, I trip up on that. That it's a lot. And yeah.
Yeah. I love that. It was
so
just
cute.
Like, fuck you, I'm gonna put my apostrophe back because you're being a little asshole.
You're being an asshole about it. It's just so funny, and I love it so much. So Evan because the first time I was just like kind of freaking out and reading through this, and the second time I was just like, oh, Evan is incredible and hilarious and wonderful.
He's kind of wonderful. Oh
yeah. Yeah. But then when he gets back to the apartment and Alexis is there and she's just like, oh, they framed you for murder. Like, that was such a relief. I was really worried because, I mean, they kept saying like, we told all your friends you were blah. And it's such a relief that none of them thought that this was a thing. And like, I shouldn't have doubted them, but like, it was
hard
still
not
so
to
great.
With Blake's karma. But
right. But also just like, I don't know them that well, and if they think he's like fucking lost it, like,
yeah, no, for sure.
I mean, I guess the circumstances, if they knew of like this kid was killed a very long time ago, they would be like, oh no, he didn't do that. But I don't know. But yeah, friendship. This is where I put some more deep impact notes. This I'm like listening to the beginning of arc 4, so he's talking about friends and Joel being like, hey, you should lean on us and stuff. And Elliot's just like, yeah, like he's gonna lose his relationships or put a strain on them, like if he doesn't start telling the truth or whatever. Like, and it's just like, fuck, Elliot totally got it without getting it so much more than I did. Because I just keep being like, I like these people, but they need to get out of the story. And it's like, no, we're gonna pull them in with hooks and just yank them in. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, like, you've got a point though. Like, if you like those people, like, it's better for those people to it is probably better for them to lose the relationship with Blake and to just fucking leave the story. It would make for a worse story, and you'd feel bad for Blake, but you'd be like, that's probably bettering their lives. But But luckily for us,
they get dragged in.
they get dragged in.
Yeah, and just the fact that it was like Alexis and Joel were there, and he was like, call over some more people. I was like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? And again, at this point, I was like, oh, you're gonna like make them aware? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? And it was like, no, I'm gonna awaken some of you. And I was like,
Like, fuck.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, so he tells his friends what's been going on and asks basically if anyone would be willing to help him out.
God, and he even says like, yeah, after I explain it, you can decide if you want in. And I was just like, oh, to the plan, not like into the world of practitioners. I was not prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we get more of Evan being incredible and super cute. Just the fact that he's like hopping from one of Blake's fingers to the next. Like, why are you doing that? I guess birds move a lot, but sometimes they don't. I don't know. But the fact he's like, oh, is that like the girl who like saved your life or whatever? And then Blake's like, let's not get into something that intimate. I'm like, what are you doing?
Like, what a weird thing. Weird way to phrase
weird
that.
Fucking way to say that. And just like, she can't understand him. You could just be like, oh yeah, and just like drop it. Like, what?
I mean, his mental, I mean, just to be fair to Blake, like he's been through some shit and he's, I don't know.
I guess so. It's just such a weird way to say that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is weird. So I saw you were making note, I think, of like the people that were invited versus like, you know, weren't invited possibly.
Yeah. At first I thought just Amanda was like, nah, I'm not showing up. But I think that they like didn't invite her. I went back and scanned the chapter where we meet these people, and she, you know, like almost ran up and hugged Blake. Like, she obviously doesn't quite get him as much. And so I think maybe they were both like, oh, let's not invite her. Like, you know, they're not on the level or whatever. And Tiffany, I was happy. I know Blake is like, what the fuck? But like Joel, Alexis, and Tiffany are the three of his friends I know the best as the reader. And so it makes sense, you know, for me.
Sure.
I feel like it is maybe a little bit weird that Alexis was like, yeah, you're gonna fuck this girl or something. Like, I don't know. Like, she keeps bringing Tiffany over, and that is odd. But I'm just like, yep, story, yep.
Can almost argue that maybe Alexis has some different issues with boundaries as well.
Oh, yeah, fair. Good point. Yeah. And I think it's funny that I didn't realize that Joseph and Joseph had the same name until I even like went back and looked it up. Or like, not even looked it up. I was going back to the first chapter just to, like, skim and be like, what were my vibes of these people? Yeah. And then I was like, wait, Joseph? And it was like, it's probably not a thing, but it was weird. Yeah.
Just weird that there's two.
Yeah. I remember not having quite the best vibes from the way he walks in and is like, oh, the carpenter's resurrected. Like, it was just sort of weird. And I guess the cupcakes were nice, but he was like, you're not going to drink beer? Like, I wasn't like that big of a fan of him. And so it made sense kind of that he left. And I don't know. It's nice, question mark, that like one person left and I'm like, oh, he'll preserve his innocence probably. And he obviously feels like kind of bad or whatever, but I don't know. It was, if they were all just like, okay, that sounds great, it wouldn't have felt as good in the story. I was surprised that Blake was so upset about Joseph leaving, because I was like, I didn't love Joseph, and you also need to don't you recognize how much you're asking and how insane this is? And just like, I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, they like emotions, you can't really like help them. And he does acknowledge like Joseph has the best like actual life and shit. Yeah. I don't know. It was nuts.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have any other choice, right? It's like, he kind of knows it's fucked to like.
He could call the lawyers.
He could. But again, like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
He could call the lawyers. Do you think that he should have called the lawyers instead of awakening his friends like this?
I mean, this is better for the universe. Possibly. I mean, okay, so this is better for the universe if they manage to not destroy Toronto or whatever. But I think that, like, I mean, I guess it's like every time you ask for the lawyer's help, it becomes easier or whatever. And so the next time after this that he needs them, you know,
Yeah.
he might be more likely to take it. I feel like, asking for their help twice is not necessarily the end of the world, but is probably more morally dubious than... Well, this would be the second time, right?
Yeah. I was just saying, like, if it got to 3.
3B, yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, probably isn't so bad the second time. But then, yeah.
Yeah, before we talk about the rest of them, though, I wanted to just, like, talk about Blake's karma and how, if something bad happens to these people, Blake's karma gets worse. And on the one hand, like, it's already really, really bad, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But also, he's supposed to reduce the family's karmic debt. And
yeah, so if something bad happens, like, it might tank it a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not a lot more in terms of, like, compared to demons, but, like, maybe more than
we don't actually really know.
Yeah.
But it's not great. And I was just thinking about, like, why didn't Molly call Blake? Because on the one hand, you don't want to drag people into this, but on the other hand, if you know that Blake is next in line, which I think she did, I don't remember for sure, but I think she did. Like, wouldn't you want to just be like, oh, well, like, either I die and he gets dragged into this, or I drag him into this? I kind of think that, like, there was a karma moment where Callan is like, oh, Blake, you want the money? And that if he hadn't interrupted and said that then, that maybe she would have called.
Do you think, did Molly know that he was the next in line, though? Because I think, like, even Blake thought that he wasn't in the running because he's a dude.
Right. No, not then, but by the time that shit started going real downhill, I feel like there was something. Goes back to first arc of Pact.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I feel like there was a list, because we know that Paige is at the bottom because of...
That's true. I think you're right. I think there was a list somewhere.
Yeah, or the lawyer tells him, but I don't know. Anyway, because I feel like that also emphasized to me that, like, no one else was going to get dragged into this because, like, Molly doesn't do it.
Can you imagine, like, if Blake had called, like, the next person in line in instead?
No. But they were decent to each other.
Yeah. True.
Like, I would have thought he would call Paige before doing any of this, but he's not that close with Paige, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, yeah, I feel like Molly, what?
I just had a dumb thought.
A dumb thought? Perfect.
Oh, no, this probably can't be true. I was like, what if Paige is last on the list because she's not biologically a Thorburn? If like, her mom had an affair or something.
Shit, son.
But then why would she be on the list at all? I don't know. And I don't know.
It's a fun thought, though.
Yeah. Oh, this story is gonna do something to my brain.
Yeah. Probably will. It already has been. Let's see. All right, so keep on going back to the present.
I'll talk about the other people.
Yes.
So Joel, I like that Joel really wants to help, and he's like there, but he's also like, I also have this like obligation to my mom. And I think that that's really great that he obviously seems a little torn about it, but he also, like, there's a good role for him as a blackguard, which will keep him safer. And I really liked that. I also liked that Goosh takes this approach just because, like, I think bringing up, like, I don't want to have to keep something like this for my partners for the rest of forever. I mean, like, theoretically, she could, like, awaken her partner or whatever. But I just think that this is, like, a good decision-making, a good option. I don't know.
Sure.
I really love Goosh. And so I'm happy she's, in. But I don't know. I think this is a decent path for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then there's Tyler. Tyler's wonderful. He just seems like really cool, like a really cool person. He was the one who did the drawings on the floor, which was awesome.
Yes.
And I'm just like so excited and glad that he's excited, and I'm so nervous.
I know.
And it's cool and good and exciting and scary. And then I guess to round them out, so Alexis is just like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, and it'll be cool. I'm excited. And Tiffany, I'm like very happy story-wise.
Yeah.
Because I want her to stay around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like
it's just
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
Just like, yeah, these people are all people who don't seem to feel like they're going anywhere in society or whatever. And so this is a good fit for them. Whereas like, you know, Joel has his mom, like he has that tie. Goosh wants to have other ties. And Joseph has like a real job, or, you know, he's succeeding in whatever. And so it makes sense that these people are the ones who are willing to do it, but also like the man talked about demons and maybe you should leave. Yeah. Do you remember what you were going to say?
I'm just like, so, well, we'll get to this. We'll get to it in a second, actually.
Okay.
Let me see here. Is there anything else you want to say for this section?
I guess just like, I'm worried about what type of practitioners they'll be. I'm assuming he's not going to try to make them diabolists, but like, if they're part of his circle now, like, what does that mean? Like, the circles we've seen all tend to have the same type of practice. I mean, the Kenneteers don't, but Blake doesn't. They don't have resources. Blake doesn't have resources, and I don't see just the like, all right, you're awoken. I'm gonna go back to Jacob's Bell. Lol, bye. Like,
yeah.
But also like, let's all go back to Jacob's Belt. Like, I'm not sure where this is going, and I'm not sure. I just really, 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 really don't want any of them to ever deal with the demon ever, and I'm very worried about that.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Especially not Tyler and Tiffany.
Yeah.
Because
fuck Alexis though. No.
No, I don't want Alexis to deal with it either, but I feel like out of the three of them, she can maybe deal with it the best. Whereas Tyler, I just want him to like live a beautiful artist life where he paints like wonderful things and has like cool other familiar friends and just hangs out.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like that you like, what do you call it? Yeah. You put one of your notes says, Blake, of course they think you're, or what is it?
Oh, yeah.
Blake, of course they think you're all nuts. All you have is a bird that nodded once. Fuck.
Yeah, because like before he has Evan do the note, or before he like moves the thing and he's just like, magic is real. And they're like, are you okay, Blake? And he's like, wow, the innocence is so strong. Like they don't like believe me. Like this is going to be so hard. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like literally you have a bird that nodded. Like what? What?
Like you literally look insane right now.
Like you haven't done shit to prove this. What are you talking about? Like I just that was so ridiculous. Because they all are just like, oh, you moved the table, fuck. Except for, you know, Joseph, who was like, I don't want to believe that you moved the table. But
oh, for sure. I mean, he does look like he looks fucking unhinged, you know.
But also if I settle my friends down in a room and looked totally normal and I was like, okay, magic is real, you know, and was just like, people are trying to kill me and there's these like, you know, demons and like here's a bird I found. Like in no scenario would anyone be like, wow, I knew it. Like
like sounds reasonable.
Anyway.
And I know frankly he's really lucky that they all just didn't like cart him off to like a psych ward, you know?
Yeah.
Like just the fact that they like were willing to hear him out. I'm like, dang, this man's like friendship connections are so strong. They like will, you know, outdo any bad karma this man has, outdo any sense of like insanity. Like his friends just love him that much.
That's so true.
Great.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's why the real message of this story is the power of friendship. We haven't quite, it's subtle, but it's there.
I put something in the notes earlier that Blake said. Blake said demons don't make anything better. And I feel like that's the summary of this book.
The demons don't make anything better.
Demons don't make anything better.
Demons don't make anything better. And hashtag power of friendship.
Yeah.
They may seem like opposing, you know, opposing themes, but
they're just like very different tones, but like, yeah,
they are. And you know, it's just, yeah,
I bet demons really don't make friendship better.
I mean, I guess we'll have to see how the story goes. It's like the struggle of the demons brought them closer together. You know, I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah, we'll see. All right, so he awakens some people and then has some blackguards.
Okay, first, you have to ask the Lord to awaken people? What the fuck? That's so annoying. Like, although, did they have to ask the judges to awaken the Keneteers? I don't remember that. Because, I mean, they went and met them, but that was only because of the investigation thing.
I don't recall that, but...
Yeah, I just feel like lords are too much in everyone's bullshit. And I guess, like, you know, you don't want your person to awaken a whole bunch of people and then, like, have them overthrow you or whatever. But it's just, like, get out of my life. Like, I don't know. Like, that's just so fucking feudalistic. And I hate it.
Yeah. Is that why they're called lords?
Yes.
That's like how it runs shit. Maybe the judges were more like, it's more, excuse me. I don't know. Maybe the judges is a more like reasonable way, like more democratic type of way.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I still prefer the judges thing to the lord thing, but on the other hand, like with a lord, you at least interact with them more. Like the Keneteers are not normal. Like they should not be interacting with the judges this much. And I feel like, you know, the person who has this much sway over your area, it might be good to be able to interact with them, but also the whole system just sucks. I don't know.
Yeah.
It all sucks.
It all sucks. Did that really surprise you that much? After, I don't know, reading all the stuff in Pale about like the lords or the Lord and everything?
Yeah, I guess they are. Bay? Like the other day I was thinking about how I want to go to Disney World, and I don't know why, but I started thinking about like
we bring Disney back in, guys. I know you were waiting.
Well, I was thinking about how, like, imagining like Verona and Lucy and Avery like at Disney World, and just like thinking about like that and how like fun it would be or whatever. But like Verona going to Thunder Bay and having to like stop and constantly ask people to be able to like move through their territory. Like, who's the Lord of Disney World? And like, could they even get there? And like, that's just so depressing that if like practitioners just like can't, like, it seems like practitioners do a lot of traveling and like a lot of shit. Yeah. But like, how
are you saying you think it'd be the Lord of Disney World as opposed to the Lord of Orlando?
Oh, yes. Like 12,000% Disney World has its own Lord.
You think that's a separate Lord to like Orlando?
Yeah.
And the Lord of Orlando is just kind of pissed off because it's like, well, technically you're in my territory.
Yeah, well, okay, Disney World is technically not in Orlando. It's in Lake Buena Vista. Disney World's in Lake Buena Vista. And Celebration. Disney has its own municipality called Celebration. Mm-hmm. I bet LA's Lord is strong enough to have territory over Disneyland, but I'm not positive. And I don't know about Universal, if the Lord of Orlando has Universal or not. But no, Disney World has its own Lord. But
is that going to be like the incarnation of like
Mickey Mouse?
Fucking Mickey Mouse? Yeah.
Yeah. No, because like cast members refer to Mickey as their boss. It's kind of a fun thing.
That's kind of
you're
fun.
Just like, yeah, it's my boss. And like, they'll be like, oh yeah, happy birthday to my boss. Like, it's like a thing, like on the anniversary of Steamboat Willie or whatever. And it's weird, but there's enough, like the way you speak at Disney World, if you're a character performer, right? So like the people in the costumes, you are not Mickey. There's only one Mickey. Like, you are not Mickey. You are friends with Mickey. And this is the way that they get everyone who works there to talk about it. And you just start doing, like, even now I'm still like, oh yeah, you know, my friend's friends with Goofy, and like my people know what that means, my Disney people. And the way we talk about things, like there's definitely fucking like Mickey Mouse and shit at Disney World, like 12,000%.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm like, yeah, I'm almost
wonder who the Lord would be at Universal.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm like, I'm not sure if Universal's quite strong enough.
Yeah, maybe they're not.
Yeah.
Maybe Orlando's like, hi, get Universal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And SeaWorld.
And SeaWorld. And what is it? That knight's place.
Medieval times?
Medieval times. Medieval times.
Yeah.
That place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really like it's hokey, but like it's fun.
It is fun.
All right.
If you're a lord of a place, can somebody else become a lord of a part of that place? Like, can things be broken down?
I mean,
or divided up?
I would assume it'd be. I would assume no, or usually no. But I mean, maybe there's. I mean, I'm sure like because sometimes territories get broken up. So if that were to happen,
and it seems like if the Lord makes a deal and is like, yeah, sure, that they should be able to do that. I don't know.
Maybe I think it's not common at the very least.
That's fair.
Because it probably wouldn't be super happy to give away like half the territory. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Awakening.
Awakening. I want to talk a little bit about the materials that they use.
Okay.
First of all, I was like, what the fuck, Joel? How did you find myrrh? Like, I'm so proud of you, but like, how did you do, what?
Maybe it's more common in Canada. Because I don't even think you can fucking buy myrrh. Like,
I have no idea.
I'm going to Google it.
I mean, you could probably buy it.
Buying myrrh.
Like, it's like a perfume thingy, right?
Maybe. Let's see. Myrrh for sale.
It's
myrrh
gum resin.
For sale. Can you still buy myrrh?
11 surprising benefits and uses of myrrh oil. I think I'm allergic to myrrh.
You're allergic to everything.
I'm allergic to tree resin, so I think I'm allergic
so you're probably allergic to myrrh. Myrrh.
People also search for frankincense.
It just sounds like, well, of course they do. It makes sense. Myrrh. Just so like on its own, it doesn't sound that like impressive, the name. Myrrh. 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 So stupid. So dumb.
Good content, people.
I mean, you know what? They know they like, they know what we are.
They know by now, yeah.
They know by now. You can buy it on Etsy.
What the fuck?
And on eBay.
Not on Amazon?
Oh, you can't buy it on Amazon too. I don't know. Okay. I skipped it. Hold on. Let's see how much some myrrh. I can't help it. It's all like with frankincense. So if you want just like pure myrrh, it might be hard to get on Amazon at least. Because it's all like frankincense and myrrh resin. Frankincense and myrrh. Natural anointing oils or whatever. Frankincense and myrrh. Get a pound of it for $13.95.
Hey, that's affordable.
That's affordable, guys. I mean, that's a lot of frankincense and myrrh. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joel.
Yeah, but that was impressive.
Maybe he got on Amazon. Maybe he went to, I don't know, Canadian Whole Foods equivalent. I don't know if they have that there, but they probably do. I could see it at a health store. But yeah, okay. I know you want to talk about like materials and stuff, and I'm down. But like, I just have to ask, like, I don't know, like, what do you think about these three people like getting awakened? Like, because we got Tyler, Alexis, and Tiffany, and I know you're saying like as a reader, you're happy that Tiffany is doing it, but like, I don't know, like, does it not just seem kind of odd or just like a troubling at all? Because I'm like, Tiffany doesn't really know Blake. She went on a date and kind of has a crush on him.
Right.
And she kind of seems like she's like a real people pleaser.
Right. And the more he was like, are you sure? The more she would push back and be like, yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, are you really though?
Yeah. Like, I think in real life, this is not great.
Yeah.
I also think it's weird that he was just like, call up some people and not like call these specific people that I want to talk to.
Yeah.
But I guess, that would prevent Tiffany from getting into the story. It is
and he might have just been like, they're going to call like the usual people we hang out with, I guess.
Right. It is interesting that Wildbow made this character, but I guess like from what I know, Wildbow plants seeds. He doesn't like have the entire story plotted out, and so maybe he wasn't sure that this was necessarily going to happen when he introduced Tiffany. And I mean, she was like fun and intriguing and stuff, and made the party a bit more like interesting and dynamic, as opposed to just like, here's Alexis, who I'm in love with, and here's some other people, and oh, there's Fel, let's go. It made it a little more interesting. But it is curious as to like, I mean, like, she can't take this back.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I'm like, mean, I get that he had to do this because he had no fucking options, but like he
The
did
lawyers.
not like. Okay, yeah, he had that option, but like he decided he didn't want to, and I can't really blame him because
Yeah.
But like he did not really get into this shit enough. I don't
Right.
even think he mentioned the lying thing like before they started.
Well, they had a bit of time. He had to go find. He had them go find their item, and they had to wait for the people to get there and stuff. So I'm hoping that he did mention it because he says it like, oh yeah, remember you can't lie, like,
Okay, that's right.
as a kind of reminder, not as a by the way.
It's true. But I don't know. It's just like it's just because I mean I know Blake got thrown into it real quick, obviously, right? But like think about like in Pale, like the trio, like they had like the others made them like do a trial run for like a month or something to like make sure that they was it a month? Was it not a month? I thought it was a month, but it was a
maybe.
period.
I mean, it was a period of like recruitment.
Maybe it was a week or something. I don't remember, but it was. Maybe it was less than a month.
I
but
mean,
it
the
was
lying
like,
thing in particular was not a month, but yeah.
Okay, I don't remember exactly, but they at least did a trial run to be like, make sure you guys like actually are telling the truth the whole fucking time. Which I know that they're like 13, but I feel like, especially when you're an adult, you get kind of set in, your ways of talking, right? Like
yeah.
you have a certain, like vernacular that you like to use.
Sure.
And it can be really hard to break out of that, especially like if you decide to do a life-changing ritual, like within, you find out about magic and immediately you're like, I'm fucking in and I'm going to do this whole thing today. Like, and not just today, but like right fucking now. And I mean, I think
I definitely
knows
feel
it's not a good idea, but
it's like Tyler was super down. Alexis, I think, was down enough / like knows Blake well enough to whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. You're right. I mean, I don't know. I'm happy, but also you're right.
Yeah. No, I mean, like it's great for the story, but it's also like, I mean, and I'm like, Blake, I mean, I can't really even fault you that much because, you're in a shit situation. But like, I don't know. At the same time, it's kind of fucked up. And Tiffany, girl, like, I just fucking, I don't know. It just,
it's interesting.
Poor choice, I feel like. But
yeah. But back to the ingredients.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention, I thought he was going to go find Holly. But I guess, like the poker thingy was good enough and it's fine. When he was like, oh, it's not ore. I was like, okay. I was like, who has ore? But I guess that's the whole point is like, you're supposed to think about this and go find things and prepare and not just be like, let's do it. And then the rose was in the thing and I just got real confused. Because I thought the rose was like a Thorburn specific thing because it's not in the Kenneteers and it felt very Thorburn-y. And maybe Blake was just like, oh yes, and there's a rose and stuck it in there because that's what he thought was normal. But they were going based on that book, I thought, and it would have been weird.
I know the Kenneteers didn't do it off of a book. Bless you.
Thank you. Sure, but they had all the rest of the stuff. The same. The rose was like this weird additional thing, and I really did think that was a Thorburn specific thing. And maybe it's like, it'll be fine, it'll make sense. And also I guess they're like part of his circle, quote unquote. Maybe a lot of practitioners have like maybe a lot of the practitioner families throw in a thing that represents their family. But I was confused.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they're starting the thing and Goosh is like, I'm gonna stay here and watch. And I'm like, did she stay there and watch? Because it's never mentioned again. And like the lengths to which Pris goes to stay away from situations seems like something she should emulate, possibly. I mean, maybe Goosh will just be like, this is great, let's awaken me too, lol, eventually, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she gets to make her own decisions, so.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And so more of like Alexis being weird, Blake is like, Tyler, you have to be naked. And Tyler's like, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, is this a ruse to like get the girls naked? And Alexis is like, well, I offered that. And he said no. And I'm like, Alexis, you offered him a threesome that's slightly different, but also why are you bringing this up now? Like, I mean, y'all are all close and whatever, but like, is it really just like, oh yeah, I tried to sleep with Blake and like, like everyone's probably super aware that Blake is like super into her, but it doesn't feel like a thing that the group
should like, talk about. Yeah.
And not even should, just that they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It's like, well, I mean, it's like read the room, you know? It's like, is this really like the time?
Yeah. I mean, she also does just seem like very open about things and very like blunt. And so it did feel very in character, but I was also just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And this ritual is a great way to get to know people. You know, the whole like what they think when they talk or what they say when they talk about all the objects was really cool. I thought it was interesting how the Stonehenge symbol made them all talk about the moon. I think I don't remember Tiffany exactly, but I'm wondering if these objects impact them and their practice, or if it's literally just like a symbolic thing. But the moon thing is cool? Question mark.
The moon is cool.
But yeah, Tyler feels very like, fuck yeah, this is so fucking cool. I'm super down. Alexis is just like, I'm a hurt person.
Yeah.
It was a lot. The fake teeth are super cool though. I was like, oh, you could do like some weird fucking great implement shit or something. Like you could do something cool with like the teeth that you wear in your body. And then Tiffany seems like kind of a mix of, you know, just like timid, but also that bit in her that pushes back on things. I don't know. She's very sweet and I love her. The AA thing is also really neat. She's made this lifelong commitment to not drink based on the fact that other people alcoholism has hurt her.
Yeah.
And that sort of made me think like, oh, maybe you can handle being a practitioner. You've already done this big lifelong commitment. But also, I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a positive. That's positive at least.
Yeah. I don't know. So if this was like a normal story, right? Like, so I'm afraid for Tyler because I don't know him very well. And like, I guess then similarly, Goosh would be the two that I'm the most worried about. They feel like the most dispensable. But Wildbow doesn't necessarily rock that way.
True.
I mean, he doesn't just kill off people willy-nilly or whatever.
Yeah.
But in a Wildbow story, it might be more impactful for like Alexis or Joel or whatever to die than Tyler. So maybe Tyler is safe and gonna like run off into the wilderness with his beautiful magic and live a beautiful dream life. But I'm just very worried for him.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little troublesome.
Yeah. And then it's like, no time for that now. We have to go fight Conquest in 45 minutes.
Yeah. Like, well, fuck. 15 minutes.
Like, what are they even going to do? Like, they don't have a power source. I mean, I guess maybe some spirits will listen to them if they write runes down or whatever, but also, like, will they? Like, because it seems like the Kenneteers can do everything. Right. Like, like the Kenneteers can do everything because they're taking power from the others all the time. Like, I guess people can't just write fucking diagrams and shit, really? I don't know. Oh, God, I hate everything.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to see.
Oh my God, at the very end, he's like, oh, let's go fight Conquest. And I'm like, you just made a super huge deal about not saying his name. Why the fuck did you say his
name? Because it's a sweet last line.
Yeah, he's into those. Blake, I mean, not Wild, but Blake is into those. Yeah.
Blake is into those. I mean, all right, so time for our pale in comparison section. Woo! We could either talk about stuff with Toronto, or we kind of touched on the Lord, like the Lords. We could talk about that, or awakening stuff.
Yeah, I thought this could be fun to talk about the fact that Musser is going to Toronto or something.
Okay,
which I didn't really pick up while reading it, and mostly picked it up in Pale Reflections. So at this point in Pale, Verona's doing her domain thing. Avery's off to whatever, and they're like doing this because Musser is distracted. Something about going to Toronto.
Okay.
And like Toronto is a place in the Otherverse that things have happened in. And I thought it could be fun to muse on what the state of Toronto is when Musser gets there based on Blake.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a world where Conquest is still the Lord and nothing has changed much, and that's boring. There's a world where Conquest and Imp have fused into one being. Which, Rose was like, the worst thing would be if they don't really affect each other very much and we just have to be Conquest bitch. And I was like, no, fuck. The worst thing is if Conquest subjugates Imp and then you still have to be his bitch. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yes, there's a universe where the Imp is the Lord of Toronto, and that's funny. I mean, not funny, but you know. And like, I'm like, part of me is like, what if Conquest like survives this and Musser is going to Toronto because there's some crazy lordship thing happening with Conquest? Or it's not related to the Lord at all, and he's going to see Jeremy.
Could it be like, what if it's not Conquest or Poos? What if it's like a totally different Lord?
Yeah, it could be the Sphinx or Jeremy or Diana, I think was her name. I'm just like, I'm confused as to what is a big enough deal that is happening there that Musser specifically is going that has to do with anything. But if, I don't know, it just feels like you can't be like, oh yeah, Toronto, without it having something to do with Pact in the same way that like the Montreal witch hunters are in Mile End, if I remember. Or I've heard that some of the Montreal witch hunters are in it.
Okay, I was gonna say, did you read that?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
But yeah. I don't know. This didn't end up being a very like fun section where I was like, oh yes, this is what's happening, but I'm just kind of like, like this is the first time that the two stories might really intersect in a very insubstantial, non-specific way. I don't know.
Do you think
oh my god, what if we get a Musser interlude in Toronto?
Oh damn.
That'd be a lot.
That could be interesting. Yeah. What if Musser gets eaten by Conquest?
That would suck.
All right. I think it's time for your bold and specific prediction, which you've already given us several.
Woo!
So you can either restate those, or if you have a new one, feel free to bring that out now.
I just feel like at this point it'd be a good time to be like, this person's gonna die.
Sure.
Just for fun, so y'all can be like, all
right. I'm all for it.
So like, okay, I guess there's a chance that Blake and the three new practitioners and Goosh and Joel all make it through the story.
Sure. Excuse me.
But that feels
unlikely.
Unrealistic. Yes, unlikely. So I'm going to say that Tiffany will die.
Tiffany will die. Okay.
Or reach some like very bad, vaguely permanent end.
How is this going to happen? Like, is it going to be like this upcoming conflict with Conquest, or the Splinter thing, or something we haven't even gotten to yet?
Oh my god, what if Blake has 18,000 friends and they all get got by the Splinter?
And that's why we haven't heard about them. He actually had like people lining out the door to awaken. But Tiffany and like Tyler
and Alexis are the ones that live, yeah. No, I don't think it'll be soon. I think it's more of a like end game thing. I think that the three practitioners, like that people are all going to make it through this Conquest thing. Because I'm still kind of like, we're going to get away from Conquest and Toronto soon.
Okay.
And maybe we're not, but I feel like we are, and that they're all going to make it out of that. It would feel odd to me based on the flow of the story, for it to be like, oh, you're barely awoken, up, you're dead. Like, I don't know.
Like, sucks to be you.
Yeah.
So okay, after the so like with this conflict coming up with conquest, what do you think is gonna happen exactly?
I don't know. They have a demon arm. They have 3 baby practitioners. They have a group of practitioners that doesn't want to do shit. There's Fel out there in the ether. I feel like just showing up at Conquest House and being like, hey, don't. Seems dumb. But like, what are they gonna... So Poos is gonna get out and they're gonna want to try to deal with that. I think Rose was like, they're gonna free the goblin. Or not the... Yeah, the hyena.
The hyena, yeah.
But they didn't talk about that, I don't think. Maybe they did.
I thought they'd mentioned it briefly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like getting him behind a door and then getting... Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's not going to be that anymore.
Okay.
This is a horrible prediction. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just asking. I'm just curious.
Well, but always just like goes and does something else that I didn't expect. So
okay. After this random conflict, do you think he's gonna go back to Jacob's Bell, or do you think he's gonna try to deal with that splinter thing, or do you think he's gonna just like?
Well, last time my prediction was that Poos was gonna become the Lord of Toronto, and they were gonna go get the splinter and use it against Poos, and then they're gonna go back to fucking Jacob's Bell. I mean, I think that I mean, it's so silly, but like, yeah, like I do think that we're gonna deal with the splinter, and I do think we're going back to Jacob's Bell.
Okay,
and I mean, I guess he could go back to Jacob's Bell and then come back for the splinter, but yeah.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So, well, our previous discussion questions was voting. We also asked what the worst wedding attire you can think of, which we got no responses, which fair enough. Not the best question, I'm going to admit.
We also did say, like, this isn't a real question or something.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, you could literally say, like, anything for that. Like, oh, like being naked or wearing a trash bag or wearing a clown costume. So it wasn't a great question. But that's okay because we had a vote and it was successful because people voted on it. But our new discussion question that we have, which of your friends would you awaken and why?
So if you need to be like in a essentially life or death situation like Blake, that's cool. If you're just like, lol, this would be fun, that's cool. But I'm interested in like the qualities that you think would make your friend a good or bad practitioner, and yeah, just like pick a person that you love and talk about
or
what it would be like if they were awoken. Hopefully you love your friends.
Yeah, but if you really love your friends, would you awaken them? Maybe, but
if you were in a bad situation.
Okay, that's fair.
And with their consent, obviously, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah. No tricky, like, no tricksy stuff.
No showing up with a goat or whatever the fuck Charles did.
No showing up with a
goat. That man.
We are goat free. I don't know.
No, we're cool with goats. We're just like jackass.
Yeah, but in terms
free.
of like sacrifice or weird like ritual stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Save the goats.
Hashtag save the goats.
Hashtag meow meow. Okay, tangent. Jen, you know Mokulele Highway on Maui? Yes. And how there's those like random abandoned like sugar cane buildings or whatever?
Yes, and
like,
it's not called Mokulele Highway anymore, right?
Right, but it is in my heart.
It is to me too, because I'm like, fuck you guys for changing the name. It's been called that forever, and then you just change the name to some like freaking Howley thing. I don't even remember what
it's
stupid
Memorial
name is.
something. I don't know.
Yeah, like whatever. It's Mokulele Highway, but whatever. That's fine.
Yeah,
but yes, abandoned sugarcane stuff.
Right. So on one of the buildings, when Ben and I were there last year, we noticed that there was like some sort of like hashtag save our children something, and we were like, oh, that's weird. Yeah, like in big like big spray paint across one of the abandoned buildings, like facing the highway. And it was like, that's weird. And then when we drove back, like maybe the next day when we drove past it, it said hashtag save our cats, hashtag meow meow.
What?
Yeah, and then the next time we drove past it was back to save our children. And it seemed kind of angry. And then the next time we drove past it, because this is a road that you get to like the best beaches or whatever from where we live.
Yeah.
And so then the next time we drove past it, it was back to hashtag save our cats, hashtag meow meow. And we just like couldn't, and we just fucking died every single time. Because like what are we saving our cats from? And I mean, obviously it's people trolling the like hashtag save our children people, which I like also don't understand, but that seems a little bit more serious. But just the hashtag meow meow. So when you were like hashtag save our goats, I was like hashtag meow meow.
Hashtag brr, brr, or whatever goats make.
Hashtag baba or whatever.
Yeah. I feel like, well, goats like make like it's that yelling noise. Like ah, or like
hashtag
ah.
Oh my god, hashtag Jenny. Hashtag save our kids.
Shit. Why didn't I? Oh, yeah. Hashtag save our kids. That's it.
That's it.
And then hashtag
meow meow
life or something.
There's something about hashtag meow meow. That's just so fucking.
Hashtag meow meow.
Hashtag meow meow. Okay.
I mean, yeah. Hashtag save our kids. Hashtag goat. Hashtag meow meow. Because goat is also greatest of all time.
I like. So. Oh wow!
Double meaning, just like the
hashtag
kids.
Goat life.
Goat life, greatest of all time life.
Hashtag meow meow.
Hashtag meow meow. Please just name this episode hashtag meow meow.
I might. People are like, what?
I think you should. That's fine. Okay.
I was thinking about demons don't make friendship better, but now it might just be hashtag meow meow.
I think either one of those would be great. Hashtag meow meow. Dang, I wish that I'd known that when I went back to Maui, because I would have tried to look and see where the heck that was, if it's still there. I mean,
yeah, there's a chance it's not. I don't know.
Probably not. It's been a long time, but
yeah, it was one of the ones.
Yeah, but like, is it the actual like sugar like cane like factory, or are you talking about like that like one random ass building on like the right side when you're going towards Kihei that always has graffiti on it?
Yes, that one.
That one. Okay. I don't think that it had hashtag meow meow.
Bummer.
Have to pay attention next time we go though.
Hashtag save our cats.
Hashtag save our cats. They should have done hashtag save our kids and then drawn like a goat's head.
That would have been so funny.
That would have been funny, but the cats is great. You said that when they said save our children, it seemed angry.
Well, it's like, I think that the save our children people were trying to be sincere about something, and the save our cats people weren't.
I mean,
and the save our children people were mad that the save our cats people had messed with their
hijacked their message.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, the Humane Society is right down the road from that.
Yeah.
So maybe they were trying to send a real message with the Save Our Cats hashtag meow meow.
Hashtag meow meow.
Hashtag meow
maybe.
Meow meow. Which reminds me of like the Super Troopers where they're like kept saying meow. Do you remember that part? Like I feel like I can't remember any lines for some reason. Like, hold on, right meow.
There's another, oh my god, okay, sorry for another Disney reference. When we were really bored checking lap bars in the mine train, we would like 4 people at my ride would all check lap bars, and we would like we would I can't even talk, I'm so sorry. We would do little like dares and games with each other, so we weren't supposed to bend over and check the lap bar physically unless we had asked the person to do it several times and they like weren't doing it or weren't paying attention. Then we would do it, probably because of our backs or something. A lot of other theme parks, they have to physically check every single restraint, but this is a really chill roller coaster, and yeah, we whatever. So usually we like walk down and we like are waving our hand being like, hi, check your bar please, check your bar please. And I remember one time we decided to challenge, or somebody challenged us to like try to do the meow thing. So walking down being like, hi, check your bar right meow please. Oh my god. Oh, and then one time it was, you could only say the word please. That one, I just like cried. I like
Just please.
literally like, please, please, like waving your hands frantically.
Oh,
it was bad.
jeez. That's hilarious.
Write me out.
Good times.
Yep.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode, you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave a rating and review. To help support our podcast, go to patreon.com/doofmedia. If you'd like to support Wildbow as he continues to write fantastic stories, go to patreon.com/wildbow.
You can follow the pod on Twitter @PaleComparison or send us an email at paleincomparisonpod@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for our Reddit thread in r/parahumans, where you can answer our discussion question and share your thoughts on this episode. In addition, if you would like to see all of my predictions laid out, check out our episode description for a link to a prediction tracker.
All right. And just following with many themes that kind of run through our podcast, our fun fact is Disney related. The voices of Mickey and Minnie got married in real life. Wayne Allwine and Russie Taylor were married for 18 years until, unfortunately, Allwine passed away in 2009.
Oh, that's really cute.
It's just really cute. Yeah. Sad that he passed away, but you know, everyone does eventually. And it's really sweet. They were married.
Yeah.
So, all right. Hope you guys have a super awesome week. Hashtag
Woo.
meow meow.
Hashtag meow meow.
Bye.
Bye.